All right, so getting fired slides 8 through 11. So we're going to go over the last few slides of the notes, and then you're going to answer questions um, over the slides. So, slide 8. So let's say you've broken one of these 4 rules. You're late often. You just can't get along with everybody. Or maybe you broke them all. You did them all and you've gotten fired. Okay. You're not listening to your supervisor and the directions they're giving you. You've just gotten fired, right? Oh, man. So, what should you do if you are fired? If you are fired, it will be important to learn from your experience and to take steps to avoid from being fired again. If you are fired, it is not the end of the world. You can recover and you are still employable. However, you need to keep for it from happening again. Those employees that don't learn from their experience and are fired time after time, they can become unemployable. If you keep getting fired, nobody might want you to work for them because you're just continue to get fired. There's a pattern there. You're not learning from your mistakes. Okay? Now, slide 9. How can you avoid from being fired again? Reflect on why you were fired. If you're going to fix the problem that led you to being fired, you need to be honest with yourself and not blame others. You need to develop a solution. As soon as you determine what you did wrong that led you to being fired, come up with a solution to prevent it from happening again. You may need more job training, counseling, or education. You can always seek free advice from a job developer or job counselor. Many cities and counties have local career centers that provide free job counseling. The One Stop Career Center, the One Stop Career Centers are one such resource that provide free job counseling. Now, um, if it's something like you're late, you miss work, then you need to figure out how can you get to work on time. Do you need to make sure you're setting your alarms? Are you waking up earlier? Do you have all your things set out for the night before? Do you have your clothes set out for what you're going to wear? Those types of things. Are you not a morning person, but yet your job starts very early in the morning? Maybe you need to find a job that doesn't start so early in the morning. There's jobs that is something called second shift, which starts a little bit later. Maybe you need to think about finding a job that's a little bit later. I don't know, but that's what you need to think about. Okay. All right. So now when you're applying for a new job, so this is what you should do when you're fired is reflect and learn from it, and develop a solution how to go from there. Right now, what when you're applying for new jobs, slide 10. What do you write on a job application if you've been fired? Oh boy! So if the job application asks why you left your previous employer, be honest, but don't use the word fired. You're not going to lie. You're not going to say you quit, but instead use the word terminated. So, terminated means fired. It's the same thing, but it is a less negative word and it allows you a chance to explain your situation in a job interview. So, don't use the word fired, use terminated instead. Okay, so that's when you're applying for jobs. That's a suggestion. And the last suggestion, what you say in a job interview if you've been fired? So, okay, you filled out the job application. Now they've asked you in for an interview. Okay, so you need to, when they talk about your previous jobs, and one of them is one that you've been fired from, you need to inform the interviewer why you were terminated, but keep it brief and to the point, explaining to him or her what you learned from your experience and the steps you have taken in order to prevent it from being fired again. So, like for example, we were talking about if you're late to your job over and over and over again, um, Now you can say, okay, well, I realized I was late, so I was terminated from my job, and I realized I needed to find a job that was second shift because first shift I couldn't get up in the morning, so I needed to find a second shift job. Okay. But then you want to ensure the interviewer that you have learned from your past and now you're a better employee. So, you learned how your body functions, that you're not really much of a morning person, that you need a second shift job, and you made sure that you're going to set your alarms and you get your clothes ready the night before and all of this stuff. And just and reassure them that you are really making an attempt to not be fired again, and that you're going to be on time to work, and or you're going to, whatever it was you got fired for, you're going to do that. So um the biggest thing is to be cautious about is not to blame others. Do not blame your other employer and say, oh, it's all their fault, they just didn't like me, they had it out for me. Okay. Whatever you do not want to show the interviewer that you hold a grudge or speak ill about your former employer. No employer will want to hire you if you take such a negative attitude. So if you just say, "Oh, they hated me, they just had it out for me, and um, you know, it was just a terrible job and all this," like, um, even if you really did feel that way, like, I wouldn't let that all come out, because then they're gonna say, "Oh, well, they're talking nasty about their previous employer, or what are they gonna talk about negative about somebody else?" Like, it's just not very professional just to have all that negative, discussion about your previous employer. And plus, you don't want to burn bridges. They might need to talk to your employer. And even though maybe you didn't show up on time, there were some other good qualities you had that when you were there on time, or there at all, that maybe they had something nice to say about you. But if you go and just talk a bunch of negative, talk about them, it's just not a good thing. All right. So now let's answer. You have 4 questions now, slides 8 through 11. Question 1. If you are fired, it is a good idea to try to learn from your experience and it from happening again. Avoid it from getting fired again. Avoid it again. Oh, that's kind of worded messed up, but anyways, okay. Let me start over. If you are fired, it is a good idea to try to learn from your experience and avoid it from happening again. True or false? True or false? Question 2. If you were fired, you should not try to fix the problem. You should blame your situation on your employer. It's not your fault, right? It's not your fault you got fired. True or false? Question 3. It is a good idea to write fired on a job application instead of terminated. True or false? Question 4. When you are in a job interview, it is a good idea to be honest but brief about being terminated. And you should discuss what you learned from your experience and how to prevent it from happening again. True or false? Submit your quiz. Let me know if you have any questions. And I believe that this is the last, let me see here. This is the last, yep, that is the last assignment for this week. If it is Friday for you, then have a great weekend. If this is your Wednesday and you're getting it all done, congratulations. And I will see you guys here next week. Have a great weekend or rest of your week. I'll talk to you later. Let me know if you have questions. Take care. Bye.